Hey, ladies of Why She Adventures. It's Senka here, creator of Why She Adventures. And today with me, I have got Kaylie Thomson. Hey, Kaylie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm awesome. How's your backdrop there?
Yeah, it's not too bad, is it? It is real, not fake. I'm lucky to be isolating over on the West Coast, so yeah, that's the view out my window.
I cannot think of a more shit place to be stuck up. It sounds terrible.
Oh, I know, it's horrible.
So I'm super excited to have Kaylie on today's call. She is our very first guest that I get to talk all things four-wheel driving with. I'm so excited. I've been following Kaylie on Insta, I don't know, I think for about a year now. So I've been Googling up all her amazing pictures that she shows of the places that she's four-wheel drived, and it's just really exciting to see a female in a really heavily male-dominated type of thing. So if you've ever wanted to get into four-wheel driving, or you're already in it and you're just looking for some more ladies to connect with, then this is the interview for you. And even if you just want to find out some really cool places to go in New Zealand, regardless of whether you have a four-wheel drive or not, stay tuned because we're going to talk about some really cool stuff. Yeah.
Yay.
We already had a big chat beforehand, didn't we? And it was like, oh, we should probably hit record on this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's one of those things I can just talk about as long as there's a willing audience.
Well, we've got a captured one right here.
Excellent.
So let me give you ladies a bit of a background on Kaylie. So she moved over to Dubai to experience the unique culture that they have over there in the Middle East. But it was those spectacular sand dunes that took her over there, which was her happy place there in the Arabian desert. And that's where she bought her Jeep Wrangler, and she learned how to navigate those big, vast desert areas over there and conquering all the sand dunes that are up there. And some of them, you were saying that they're like 200 meters in height, which I'm trying to wrap my head around, and I think is phenomenal. And temperatures that are sort of reaching around 50 degrees across the UAE and through Oman as well. So sounds like you've been to some spectacular places.
Yes, it was a very unique place to live. I was there for about 12 years and pretty much just got addicted to the desert, really. It's such a beautiful place out there.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. I mean, some of those desert missions you were saying that you've discovered, like abandoned villages, nearly swallowed up by the sand, pure white deserts, the softest icing sugar. I was just like trying to imagine that. And of course, all the hospitality of the local Bedouin people that are over there as well. So, and some other cool stuff about her is that she actually became a desert driving instructor, which is what's super rad about this, teaching other people how to use the tools and the techniques on how to drive through all of that safely. And then, of course, also some recovery methods for when things went wrong. So she's hoping to inspire some more women to participate in this male-dominated activity. And she ran lots of women's-only events over there and witnessed some of the Arabic, women over there grow in confidence as they pursued their own passion for the sport. Yay! And now you're living back here in beautiful New Zealand. And of course, an avid four-wheel drive enthusiast, and sharing your off-road adventures and hoping to inspire more women to join you on the trails, which I'm so excited about. So welcome along.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I love your website, and I love the fact that women can, link up with other women that like doing these sort of things. So I'm really hoping that some women out there will want to come and join me on the trail sometime.
Oh, you betcha. We had a conversation before this, didn't we? And it was like, we're like, okay, we need to plan a four-wheel drive adventure for women who have got four-wheel drives that aren't necessarily modified. So you're beautiful. Does your truck have a name? Because I have a truck name, but I don't know if you have a truck name.
Yeah, Ruby.
Oh, it's a girl truck.
She is a girl. Yes, Ruby. It's because she's a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. That's the model. So I just shortened that to Ruby, but I thought it sounded quite cute as well.
Oh, that's cute. She's cute and grunty.
Yeah.
Well, I have Hank the Tank, so mine is a boy.
I can't wait to check him out.
Yeah, so we'll introduce Hank and Ruby together.
Yeah, I'd love to do a trip and get some women out there. We don't need to make it anything too hard. You know, it can just be something that, you know, a stock truck can handle, but maybe somewhere nice and scenic, and we could go camping and, you know, sit by a lake and talk around the campfire or something.
Bring it on, sister. I was like, as soon as we started talking about that, I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. So
yeah,
I would say, ladies, stay tuned for any of you that have got four-wheel drives. We'll just do some social get-togethers, I think, and we'll just see if anyone else wants to come along with us and get out and take their four-wheel drives for a bit of a cruise around, and have a bonfire and have a nice place to escape for a weekend.
Oh yeah, I would love that. Nothing better.
Cool. So do you want to, have you always four-wheel drive? Like, were you four-wheel driving before you went to Dubai, or did that come from the move to Dubai and you were like, holy shit, I just found something really amazing to do?
Yeah, I grew up on a farm on the west coast and learnt to drive motorbikes and Land Rovers and trucks and things there. But it was more just because that's what you do on the farm. I didn't sort of do it, I guess, for recreation until I moved to Dubai. And I just went as a passenger with somebody, like a friend, to the desert. And actually there was this other girl there, and she had a red Jeep. And I remember talking to her, and she was just saying, look, there's no other woman doing this. You should do it. And I just thought it looked so much fun. I thought, I think I could do that. So yeah, I ended up buying my first Jeep, and then I had to learn how to drive. So I remember it was pretty daunting, really, turning up by myself for the very first sort of desert driving lesson. I just felt like I didn't know anything. I didn't know any of the techniques. I was going to be the only female. And then when I turned up, there was all these guys turned up with their massive modified trucks, and they seemed to know everything. And I was like, oh, it was quite intimidating. So, you know, I know that feeling of wanting to get into something, but kind of not knowing the first steps to do it. But I actually think that you know, the hardest part is just turning up. And once you've turned up, yeah, you just go from there. And yeah, it was awesome. So it was about 7 years of driving in the desert.
Wow.
Almost every weekend.
That sounds amazing. I love how you said, you know, the hardest thing sometimes is just showing up, and then the rest is kind of easy from there. We actually used to run with Adventure Girls four-wheel drive adventures. So we would get some of the ladies. Yeah. Cool. The very first one we did was probably way back when I originally started the business about 15 years ago. And we went to a place that taught us, and they used the Suzuki Escudos, which I actually had at the time, which was kind of cool. So that was our first ever four-wheel drive adventure. And it was just amazing, because it really, for me, it was like learning the limits of what my truck was capable of. And
knowing what it can do. Safely, they're actually so capable, you know, and just driving them on the road all the time, you're almost just not using them to their full, you know, full capacity. They're not living their destiny.
Hank is destined for so much more.
Oh, I can see big things for him.
we had a saying up in Auckland for all the people that had four-wheel drives that weren't really four-wheel drives, but they look like four-wheel drives. We could call them Thomson B tractors, because they were just foo-foo cars, but not really. They're never going off-road, so they are not living their potential.
also known as mall crawlers.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love the fact that you say that sometimes, you know, those things that are really scary, like I can only imagine, and I guess that's part of why we started running our women's only adventures, is because we wanted to take a little bit of that fear out of being maybe the only girl there, or one of very few girls going along and doing these types of adventures. So how did you, so you went along, did the lesson, and how did it go from there? Because it could have been easy to go, shit, it's all just dudes, I'm tapping out, you know.
So I actually joined an off-road club, and they were really structured. So all of their kind of newbie lessons were pitched at just the right level for people who had never done it before. So they started off with all of the equipment and the tools that you need, and they told you how to get it, where to go to get the equipment, to at least sort of set you up first. And then they just started really easily with newbie drives, and they would often sort of stop halfway through the drive and talk about things and demonstrate. So they were really good sort of teaching club, and that's the club that I ended up being an instructor at myself. So I think it took me about 3 years to reach instructor level with them. And yeah, after that I started running my own newbie trips, and it was always awesome seeing women turn up, because I knew what it was like to turn up to something like that and not be in your comfort zone at all, but really wanting to do it. So I did sort of take special care of them. And even, you know, the Arabic women, it is not something that they would usually do over there. Doesn't necessarily mean they can't, but you know, a lot of people wouldn't sort of necessarily encourage them to get into something like that. So when they did come along, yeah, I sort of took a bit of special care with them. And some of those women, they're just awesome. They're just fearless. And it was awesome just seeing, you know, them grow in confidence from being a little newbie like me when I first turned up to, you know, driving for miles, navigating by themselves, getting people out of tricky situations. It was awesome. Yeah, so that's what really inspired me, is seeing the Arabic women sort of come out of their shell.
I love it. That sounds amazing. Like, I don't think that buzz ever wears off when you are into something, whatever your adventure is. In this case, it's four-wheel driving, whether it's hiking, mountain biking, surfing, stand-up paddleboarding, snowboarding, whatever your jam is, whatever the thing is that you love. I don't think that buzz ever taking new people out who are amped to be out ever wears thin. Like, it never stops to get exciting when it like takes somebody out on a mountain bike trail. And then they're like, oh my God, this is epic. And you're just like, yes. Okay,
it
we're
is
going
the
back
best feeling.
again.
It is the best feeling, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. And a lot of the guys as well. So it was quite interesting being a driving instructor over there in the Middle East. As you know, it's quite a male-dominated society. And it was quite funny when I was running newbie trips and some, you know, Arabic men would come along ready to learn and find out that I was their instructor. Quite often they would sort of assume that I was like the wife or girlfriend of one of the men. So it was always quite funny to watch their face when they realised that actually I'm going to be teaching you today. Yeah, it was funny. They were awesome though. I made a lot of good friends, men and women over there. And after a while, I think they just forget that you're a woman. Like they have that respect for you when they see that you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about. So yeah, it was good.
Oh, that's amazing. And so what was some of the really cool things that you learned about four-wheel driving that took you from being like a novice to someone who gained a little bit more confidence in doing that?
I guess a lot of it was actually about your vehicle and knowing what it could do and what it couldn't do. And so over there, when you're driving in the desert, you need a lot of speed, because if you go too slow, you tend to sink in and get stuck in the sand. So you deflate your tires a bit, and you use speed and momentum quite a lot. So to get up a big dune, you really have to have your foot on the gas. So it can be quite high speed, and when you get to the top of the dune, there's quite a razor sharp lip on the top, formed by the wind, and there's certain techniques that you need to use to get your wheels up over that without going too far over too fast, because that's when rollovers.
Yeah, I'm picturing like.
Yeah. And I've seen a few people kind of do that very badly, and it didn't end up well. So there's definitely techniques on how to cross the dunes. You can go forwards over a dune, and you have to go very slow if you're doing that, or you can go fast and you go up on the diagonal parallel to the top of the dune and get your 2 wheels over, and you drive along the top of the dune for a while with your 2 wheels on either side.
Yeah.
And that's called side cresting, and that's probably the hardest technique to learn. And once you learn that, you can cross any dunes really.
Wow.
So yeah, that's and the feeling of getting up onto that dune, onto the tip of that dune and riding along it, that is the best feeling ever.
Oh my God. And because when you're talking like 200 meters high, like it is really like taking it up a big mountain, except it's made of sand, which actually moves a lot more.
Yeah, it's all moving under you. So it's not always possible to make it up going straight up. You often have to go on a longer diagonal, across the face of the dune and slowly climb up. And yeah, that was one of the fun things about it, is we would stop at a big smooth dune and we'd all have goes at who can get to the top, who can ride the crest at the top, and it was good fun. So, but coming down, so those 200-meter high dunes, they're in an area called the Empty Quarter, and it's quite close to the border of Saudi Arabia and the UAE, and there's massive dunes there. And the first time I ever came down a big dune, because quite often they're flat on one side and then they're really steep coming down. And when you first put your 2 wheels over the front and you look down, and somebody else might be way down the bottom and they're just like a little dot, your heart gets really pumping. And yeah, you have to go very slowly down. You have to keep your wheels slowly moving, but not accelerating much at all. And then after a few meters, all of the sand starts this huge roaring noise, and it's loud, like a really loud roaring noise with the sand all moving under you as you cruise down the dune.
Wow.
And that's pretty up there on my list of experiences as well. So
how do you keep your composure in that? How do you stay in a place of like, I've got this, I can do this, and I'm going to get to the bottom? Because I'm sure like part of me is like just trying to imagine it, and I'm freaking out a little, going, holy shit, like that must be such a rush. How do you stay focused and like on getting to the bottom?
Yeah, it is a rush, but honestly it still scared me after doing it for 6 years.
Yeah.
Because that one wrong move and you can roll the rest of the way down. So I guess honestly positive pep talks to myself. Like after by the time I was going down these big dunes, I was experienced enough that I can take them safely. It was really telling myself that it's okay. You can do it, just keep calm. Honestly, it's going around in my head all the time. It's okay, fine, just keep keep the wheels moving slowly. And it was pep talks, talking to yourself.
It's so interesting.
And not wanting to not do it in front of all the guys,
you gotta turn up for the girls.
Yeah, exactly. Petrified inside, but pretending like, this is fun, this is cool.
Joe's got this every day, man.
I can do this.
It's actually really like when you say pep talks and stuff like that, there's so much that relates to in like actual life and how we just do our everyday stuff, where it's like, either if that's working out or going for a goal that we've got set, is that we're so much more capable than we sometimes think or allow ourselves to be, because the internal conversation is like, if it's looking down a massive dune going, oh, what if I fall? What if I what if this happens? And it's like, and it can stop us from going for those big scary things that our trucks are capable, we are capable. It's our mindset that's going,
exactly.
Are you sure?
Yeah I was so it used to annoy me when I was younger, but my mum has this thing about the word can't, and it was actually when I actually remember it when I used to do piano lessons and I wasn't very good. And she would sort of say, have you done your music practice? And I'd say, I can't, it's too hard. I would say, I can't. And she would say, there's no such thing as can't. That word does not exist. And honestly, to this day, if I hear somebody else say they can't, I hear her voice in my head saying there's no such thing as can't. So I actually got used to not telling myself that either.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's honestly, it's in my head now. I can't escape it. So yeah.
That's so good. And it's nice to have those little whatever you want to call them, positive affirmations or little reminders or whatever it is, that it's like that you are capable of doing that stuff. And sometimes you just need to be around the right people that encourage you to challenge yourself and do something that's a little scary, like you know, do those bigger drops off the bigger sand dunes, or drive through that foil, you know, that thing that you don't think the truck's going to be able to make it, or what if you get stuck. It's just having those people that are there to support you and go, yeah, you got this, girl. So as much as you tell yourself that as well.
Definitely, yeah. And so I was lucky to have a nice group of friends over there and over here as well, who are very good at sort of supporting each other and saying, come on, you can do this, your truck can do this, so just do this. Yeah, so definitely having that sort of network around you as well for those times when you really need them is really important. So like having a spotter on a difficult you know, rocky track, for example. So rock crawling is something that I got into when I came back to New Zealand after being in Dubai, and it's
that's a contrast.
Sand, complete. Completely. There was no rocks in the UAE, so that was something different that I have been sort of getting into since I've been back. But yeah, there's also those sort of scary moments when the rocks are quite high and, you know, your wheels sort of start jumping up a little bit at the front, and you get that feeling that, you know, you're half off the ground, and it's that's when it's always good to have a spotter on the track in front of you on the radio, just telling you which way to turn your wheels and a bit more gas, and so that's something I really enjoy having over here as well.
Yeah,
you know, those people.
I was saying to you earlier, I haven't taken Hank off too much stuff because he's my everyday vehicle and he's not modified. So, you know, I've got to be a little bit precious. Although the first time I did get it, I got him, and then my mate was like, wow, we're going forward driving just to this little place up the road in South Auckland. I was like, mean. Took him out the first day I had him, and I bent the the platform step that you used to get into it. I caught it up on a tree stump, and I fully bent it, and I was like, wow. There we go.
They're one of the first things to go. So I'd recommend you get some rock sliders.
Is that the tubes?
Yeah, it's like the metal bars down the side.
I have been told to get that. But I went took Hank out to Ohau and Lake Ohau here in the South Island, and out there they've got there's a cool beautiful 4-wheel drive track that takes you out to Monument Hut, what you can stay at, and then you can also go out to, I think it's called Red Hut, and then another one, but we only got as far as Monument Hut. But you say about the spotter, and I had one of my girlfriends with me, Mel, who runs the Lake Ohau quarters out there, and we got to this section, and these we'd gone through a gate, and then a couple of guys had caught up with us, and we let them go past because I was like, well, they're clearly going to be more experienced. It was really nice. They actually drove slower and let us follow them, which was kind of cool because it was the first time I've ever gone out there. But then they took a line that went down into the water and then up this bank, and I saw them go up the bank, and they had to take a couple of goes at it. I was like, I ain't going that way.
Maybe not.
So Mel gets out, and there was another big section to navigate, which had massive big ruts. So I just had to keep my wheels on the top. So she was out there just like, we didn't have a radio because we weren't, and but she's just like,
you can't see as well when you're inside, can you? So it's really good having somebody outside telling you.
Yeah, because I'm like,
exactly how to take it.
I think my wheels are where they're meant to be, but if I went too far, I'm going to just end up in this hole.
You're going to fall into that rut.
Can I get Hank out? And then we have to we'd have to ring her husband and go, we're stuck, and we'd never hear the end of it. So
exactly.
But it was just, it's nice to have, I feel like that community, the four drive community, is probably just as nice as every other outdoor community. That there's like people who want to help. Like those guys didn't need to drive slowly for us to follow them. And then having one of my really good girlfriends, Mel, to show me the way forward. I felt like I should have been landing a plane or something like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of good people out there in the four-wheel drive community who don't mind helping at all. In fact, they enjoy, you know, helping people. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of them out and around. You see them quite often. So yeah, we love them.
So what brought you back to New Zealand then? So you're living like to me, which sounds like an amazing life over there. What brought you back to New Zealand?
Well, I had been there for 12 years at that point. So I guess I was just missing my family. You know, I'd missed out on a lot of family occasions over the 12 years, and I just missed the New Zealand lifestyle again. You know, I missed the greenery. I missed mountains and lakes and rivers. You just don't get that over there. So the desert has its own beauty. There's nothing more beautiful than waking up, unzipping your tent, and you're looking out over these amazing dunes as the sun is coming up. Wow. That is amazing. But after a while, you want the greenery. You know, you want barbecues and beers around the campfire. You want lakes and rivers. Yeah, it's that natural. I guess it's the natural scenery that I missed a lot here, and being so close to, I guess, you know, recreational spots here is amazing. Whereas over there you have to drive to get to the desert. And when you get to the desert, there's not a big variety of sort of plants and trees, and it's pretty much just desert for miles. So yeah, so it was just my time to come back, really. I just thought it was a good time to come back. So we'll come back eventually. So I think as for all the travels that I've done overseas, at one stage I was planning to move to Bali, and then I landed back in New Zealand, and I just went, no, I'm not. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't give up what we had here in exchange for like the experience that I would have over there. Just for me, I realized it wasn't what I really wanted, even though I'd be able to surf every day. And I was like, when would I get to mountain bike? I was like, it would be too hot to mountain bike. And like mountain biking was your passion. Thread. Yeah, it's the thread that's been in my life since my early 20s. Nearly 20 years now I've been mountain biking. And everything else has sort of come and gone, or there's just dribs and drabs of it and stuff like that. So I was like, I wasn't ready to give that up to the level that it was. And I came back to New Zealand and I went, oh, no way. I'm not done with New Zealand yet. So yeah, it's awesome, isn't it? You appreciate it so much more after being away as well. 100%. I mean, when I first came back 2 years ago, I was just taking photos of mountains, and I was like, look how green that tree is. And you know, autumn leaves and things like that. You just when you don't see it for so long, it's stunning when you see it again. So yeah. And one of the first things I did, you know, when I decided to move back to New Zealand, I was like, but I'm going to have to give up the desert. I might not ever be able to drive in the desert again. That was quite sad. So, you know, one of the things I first did when I came back to New Zealand was obviously look for my next Jeep Wrangler, because I knew that would help me settle back into New Zealand. And
that would ease you back on into New Zealand.
Definitely. So yeah, that's it's kind of a must-have, really. For me, anyway.
So you came back, got yourself another. You've got Ruby. I assume, is that Ruby? Is that the same one? Or yes. Ruby is the white one that I've got. Yep. Excellent. And then so, what was it from there for you for four-wheel drive adventures? Like, did you access another club? Because it's such a contrast of, you know, I'm imagining going from driving sand and I guess developing your skills and your confidence in that space, and then it's like there's a component of drag and drop back into New Zealand, but it's not sand you're driving on anymore. No,
it actually was quite different, and my confidence over here when I first got back was sort of like straight back down to I don't really know what I'm doing. So it's definitely been a bit of a learning curve, because the terrain is so different. You can't there's some techniques that you can use that are similar to what you use here, but many of them are specific for sand. So there's a whole new set of techniques you need to learn for this terrain, and that's what I've been doing for 2 years. So definitely quite different, but you can't beat the scenery here. You know, so different style of driving, but amazing scenery.
Yeah. So what have been some of the highlights then for you with coming back to New Zealand with like drives that you've done and stuff like that?
So probably we did a big Easter trip down south last year, where we went sort of on most of those ranges above Otago, around Cardrona,
Oh,
Marama,
wow.
and Queenstown, and that scenery is quite different from Canterbury, and you know, the top of the South Island. So that was definitely a highlight. Everything you do there is up high. You know, you're up high in the mountains there, and there's usually 360-degree views.
Yeah.
Because once you get above the bush line, you know, it's just open. So that blew me away, really. And probably my second favourite was the West Coast to the South Island.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've done much over there, but I just love the West Coast. I'm kind of from the West Coast, so.
Oh, yeah, because you're from the West Coast.
Yeah.
So my when I was doing my big road trip, when I sold everything up at 40 and travelled round, I ended up in Denniston.
Yes. Beautiful.
Yeah. And I had my mountain bike, so I went and did a ride around there. And then I was going to go catch up with a friend that I'd met through there. And then I was going to go back and go do a hike the next day. And I didn't get up early enough. And so I'd driven the truck in, and I was kind of having that like, I've probably not got enough daylight to go and do that. And then I went to the car park, and I looked over and I saw this concrete bridge over a waterway, and it said 4-wheel drive access only. And I went, oh, where does that go? And I ended up going on this massive mission for I drove in for about 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And just ended up at the top of some mountain. I don't even know where it was. I'd have to Google it to find out.
I wonder if you were heading back towards Anangahua, like Reefton Way, like sort of inland.
Yeah, yes, going in. And then it was definitely, there were components of the Alps to Ocean track as well that I crossed over.
I think that was probably up the Mackley. Well, you start at the Anangahua, the Mackley River, and you follow the Mackley River, and it comes out in Denniston. But you go over a lot of mountain sort of tracks. So sounds like it might have been that one.
Yeah. So
great spot.
Oh my God! So I ended up at the top, and I had some snacks because I'd already planned to go do this hike. Yeah. And I got out of the truck. I got it as far as I could. There was just some big holes that I was like, I don't know how to navigate this safely, so I'm not going to put Hank in there because I'm in the middle of nowhere. And got out, and I found this little posse overlooking this valley that was just lush and green. And I can't remember if I was looking back to the water or not, but I just sat there, and there was this complete sense of being in the middle of nowhere. I'm not going to see another person for ages. Yeah. And it was so overwhelmingly beautiful that I actually remember sitting there and having a cry, because it was just so
it's amazing, isn't it?
Breathtaking. And I was like, this was just I'm meant to be hiking, and now I've ended up 40 minutes up this hill, and I'm looking over this valley, and the birds are singing, and I was just like, man, it was probably one of those real, I can picture the valley, and I just can't remember with my memory whether it is the blue clouds or the blue water. Yeah. But I just remember just seeing this vastness of valleys and hills, and just thinking, and they were green because they're West Coast, which I love. And I was like, man, this is what getting away is all about, is what getting into the outdoors
Definitely. That's the buzz I get whenever we go off-road. It's like, yay, we get to go where there's nobody else, and amazing scenery. You know, it's dead quiet at night, apart from all the little bush sounds, and the sky is clear. So when you look up, it's just, you can see stars for miles, and that's the sort of happy place for me as well.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
So if you've got some cool spots that you've been to, I'd love to know what are maybe some of your 3 top adventure girls, top YSHE adventures, maybe must do 4-wheel drive, even if it's a little bit more you need a modified vehicle, totally fine. Yep. There's probably girls listening to this that are like, my truck's modified, so gives the goss.
Well, I guess it depends where you're based, but
anywhere.
A level well, I'll give you one of each level. So like a level
Cool.
2 track, a level 2 track, which is scenic, and a truck can do it without having modifications on it. I really love Lake Tennyson up behind
yes.
Hanmer Springs.
Yeah.
That lake is beautiful. It's just nestled in amongst the mountains. It's
Yeah.
just, it's usually just absolute glass.
Yeah.
And there's nobody up there. And you have to go up this this big pass, like little narrow winding road. And yeah, it's just it's like a real gift when you finally get there. So that's a good little day trip from Canterbury.
Lake Tennyson.
Yeah, Tennyson, yeah. And then I'd say a level 3 track, which you'd probably need a snorkel for, but not too much else, is the Poulter River. So you go towards Craigieburn, Arthur's Pass. You go and you turn off and you go up. You basically follow this riverbed up. So there's a lot of kind of rocky terrain. There's a nice big sort of rock climb. That's the sort of hardest part of the track. And there's a few river crossings, but on either side you're just, you know, surrounded by mountains. And if you're there in the winter and there's snow on the mountains, it's just, yeah, magical. So
oh wow,
that would be the level 3.
Actually writing this, I'm writing this down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah, and then I guess a level 4 track, which is a bit more gnarly, and you'd need some modifications on your truck to do it. Maybe a lift at least, you know, to give you a bit more clearance underneath, because it's quite rocky. Is over on the west coast, little town of Ross. It's got this awesome little, you know, little pub in the middle of nowhere, and there's a track called Mount Greenland.
Oh yeah.
And that's gives you a bit more of a challenge at level 4. You probably need a bit of a lift on your vehicle, and somebody in your group would need to have a winch, because there might be some points where you need to winch up, but that's all part of the fun.
Oh my god, you say this and I'm just like, in my head I'm like,
yeah,
Hank will look handsome with a winch.
oh, he would look great with a winch.
Snorkel first, Senka, snorkel first.
yes. Yeah, so the West Coast has some of the real gnarly tracks, which are just like mud puddles, big ruts, you know, big rock climbs. And yeah, and then there's the level 5 tracks, which I haven't actually done yet, because I still don't want to take my little Ruby on a level 5 track, because you're pretty likely to get some sort of panel damage. So usually it's guys that have those trucks with the beaten up bodies, but really good engines in them, that like to do those tracks.
Yeah, right.
Also the guys that know how to fix their trucks themselves if anything breaks.
Got it. I'm understanding level 5 now.
yeah. So I great to be a passenger on on those tracks. Yeah.
That would be amazing. I like that whole, like, I love the idea of getting out, getting out of it, like just having to sort of troubleshoot that kind of situation. Not that I know how to fix a truck. But.
Yeah, no, it's fun, because if there's a group of you, because you usually have to go with at least 2 other trucks you'd need to go with. You know, you get to a sticky point and everyone gets out and they start talking about how best to recover it, what winch to use and angles, and yeah, good fun.
I love it. Are there anything more than a level 5, or is level 5, like, is it go level 2 to level 5? That's how
it pretty much works? level 1 to level 5.
Oh
yeah, I don't know if that's an official sort of rating, but it seems to be what a lot of the off-road clubs use in New Zealand. So yeah, it would give you an idea about what you would need on your truck as to what type of track it was. Yeah.
So that's kind of good to know, that roughly you can kind of go level 2 with a modified vehicle.
Yeah. So if somebody's sort of telling you about tracks, you could ask them, is there a level 2 or a 3? And that would give you an idea about what you would need on your truck before you did it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's just some really useful stuff, because I guess, you know, it's like that thing, if you want to try something, but you don't necessarily want to get all the modifications getting into it or anything like that. So it's like, cool, at least you can start with like the level 1s and 2s, and then you're like, okay, cool, I actually really like this. Okay, now I need to look at maybe getting, if I want to go to that next level, maybe getting some modifications and and that sort of stuff. And even going to a level 2, it's not, doesn't sound like it needs much more from what you're saying. So
no, I think I'd say a stock truck could do level 2 is fine. Yeah.
Awesome. That's so cool. Because I did use the dock website, has got 4-wheel driving filters on it as well, so you can actually use that to find some of the tracks around and stuff like that.
Well.
Yeah. Have you got any other go-to places to find 4-wheel drive tracks around New Zealand?
To find, so there's a website called overlandingnewzealand.com.
Oh yeah.
And I think they have listed quite a few tracks with a little bit of a summary about each track, how to get there, what kind of difficulty level it is, and a few shots of what you can see up there. So that's pretty good. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Love me a good little resource.
Oh yeah, I can send you some more if anybody's interested.
Oh, absolutely. If you've got any, what we'll do is we'll add them to this page that your interview's on. And then any of the girls that come in here will just, they'll be able to access those links. And I'll also
great. I'll send you some.
A note about these level drives as well, so people can, any of the women watching this, if they want to use that, then we've got some cool little resources for women to be inspired to get out and drive their trucks.
Cool. Sounds good.
Awesome. Hey, I also, before we just start to wrap this up, I want to ask you, because we spoke about this, I said, oh, do you have any questions before we get started? You were like, I'm not sure about the who inspires me question. And I was like, oh, we have to definitely bring this up, because it was such a great topic of conversation that's sort of with the whole adventure theme, but also just in life and stuff like that. And you were like, I was like, oh, yep. And you're like, I'm not sure I can talk about 3 women that inspire me. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm sure there are. And it was interesting, because your perception with that question was potentially that it was like big namers and people that everybody knows. Do you want to talk us through like what was going on for you with that question? Because I think what will fall out of it will be as the stuff that we were talking about.
So I was having a little bit of a think about that, and I was like, who, which the 3 top women that inspire me, and I couldn't necessarily just put names to that, and then I sort of had a real think about it, and I thought, well, the people, the women that actually inspire me are, people like us, all the women that you've interviewed on your website, the everyday woman doing adventurous things. That's who inspires me. So, the Arabic women that turn up for a newbie trip on their own without knowing anything and wanting to give it a go. They are the real women that inspire me. So, it's good also knowing that what we think normal everyday women can inspire a lot of other people. So that's my inspiration, really.
I love it. It was just nice to kind of circle back on that, because I was like, we can sometimes get caught up that it has to be like, people who are these big namers or Insta famous or they've got a high
famous adventurers or
and it's like yes, there's inspiration in what they do, absolutely, and for me it's everyday woman. It's like I've been following your feed for over a year, and I was like, oh my god, this lady is so cool. I just like everything you do about the forward driving looks inspiring, and our little conversations that we've had over Instagram, I've just been like away going, oh my god, this is great. So
and that's exactly what I think about all those women you've interviewed on your website. I'm like, these people are awesome, look what they're doing, and I love it. It's so good. I love your website. Such a good inspirational website for us.
Oh, you are just a reflection of the other women that I've interviewed. So it's a total pleasure to have you here. And we've got such a great lineup too coming up. I've got just some more everyday women that have just had some journeys, and someone who's lost a significant amount of body weight, and
I can't wait.
Oh yeah, I'm interviewing her tomorrow night. So
awesome.
It's great. So the lineup is fantastic, and what you do in terms of inspiring, me and hopefully now more women to get into 4-wheel driving. that's what I hope that comes out of all of this. So
same. I would love to see some more ladies out there. I'd love to get a bit of a group together.
Stay tuned.
Have some female company out on the trails.
We'll do a post in the sisterhood and see what sort of 4 drivers we've got in there, and see if we can kind of,
I would love that,
get a little nestle going on.
Yeah.
So to wrap this up then, what's the one piece of advice then that you would give to women who want to have more fun and adventure in their life, but they're a little afraid of taking that step?
I guess those, those positive pep talks that you give to yourself. If there's something that you really want to do, why let anything get in your way? I would say, hey, get onto your website, read some of those stories, get in touch with other women through your website or through, the Sisterhood Facebook page, and you won't regret it. You won't regret it. It'll just open a whole new door for you. And just do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that phrase. It'll open a new door for you, because that sounds like a perfect thing, that we just sometimes stand at that edge, right? And we just contemplate, and we don't touch the door handle, but we want to go through. So it's once you do it, it just opens up a whole new space of possibility,
whole new friends, whole new perspectives, whole new experiences. I was when I was living in Dubai, and before I got into off-roading, I was living the city life quite a lot, and I was just getting bored with it. I was like, it's, you can do it for a couple of years and then it's all a bit the same, and I was like, I need to do something else. So that's kind of, I guess, what pushed me to go and have a look for what else was out there. And I think there's even a lot of people in New Zealand who might be just living the city life a bit, or have thought about things they want to do but haven't actually done it yet. I mean, there's just no better time, really, is there? So
it's interesting, because I got into the outdoors because I was partying, and I had a really bad night once, took way too many drugs, thought I was going to end up in hospital, and kind of had to take a relook at my life. And I don't think it was soon after that, within maybe a month, a friend said, hey, I've gone out to this Wood Hill place thing, you can ride bikes there, it's really cool. And I was like, okay, I'll come along. So I went along, and we were out for 3 hours. I probably pushed my bike for 2 of it. Anything that had the slightest slope, I got off and walked. But I came back, and I was just grinning from ear to ear. And it was such a pivotal moment, because I just remember going, holy shit, I've been going out to town partying, doing all this stuff to get this high. And I just got a way better buzz doing that, and it's clearly going to be healthier for my body.
And you don't waste the whole weekend, being hungover 100%. Or lying on the couch feeling like crap.
100%.
That's what I hated as well. I felt like such a loser after doing that, going out clubbing 2 nights in a row, drinking, spending a shitload of money, and, basically just wasting the weekend either, on the couch.
100%. I
really go out to any sort of now,
well, because I mean that means
I'd rather get up for adventures in the morning and feel fresh than be at a club spending money all night.
Oh my god, you can go to town and blow 100 and something bucks, and I'm like, that's a new pair of mountain bike shoes.
Definitely. That's a tank of gas to go on an adventure.
Exactly. You start suddenly talking adventure dollars. You can start converting things over, and you're like, I think I'll put it towards my adventure dollars.
Definitely. Much better investment.
Amen, sister. Awesome. Okay, ladies. Well, Kaylie, thank you so much. It has been so good to talk four-wheel drive stuff. So that's just been, I haven't had anyone yet to talk about it. It's not a huge part of my life, but Hank the Tank's a big part of my life.
Not yet.
Yet. I love it. Absolutely. Yet. You are 100% correct. Yet. And, I got to do my very first service on my truck the other weekend, which
I saw that. Good
really
stuff.
Exciting. I would totally recommend it for any woman to do that on their car, whether they want to do it again or not, but I just think it was super empowering to do that.
Yep.
And I will be doing my services going forward.
Most girls have somebody that would know how to do that and can show them.
Yeah, 100%.
And yeah.
So I feel a little bit more connected to Hank the Tank now. So yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure just talking all things like New Zealand, four-wheel driving, and you know, expanding comfort zones and that through doing some scary stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I love having an audience to just talk about my passion. So thanks for that. It's been great.
You are totally welcome. So if any of you ladies want to follow Kaylie, you can check her out at, I've got it here, Kaylie_NZ. So KAYLIE_NZ. Check her out on Insta. You'll be stoked you did, because her pictures are rad and super inspiring. So until we catch up in real life, I can't wait for you to get back to Christchurch. So we can actually catch up in Ruby and
make some plans.
Can have a little get together while we have a cuppa or a beer or something like that.
Definitely looking forward to it.
Awesome. Have a great day.
Thanks. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.